What's going on? I'm Brian Goulet here of the Goulet Pen Company, and I have a pen called the TWSBI Classic that I'm going to cover today. This is going to just be an overview, kind of a highlight video, kind of touching on some of the key points of this pen. I'm not going to go super deep into every topic, but if you don't know much about this pen or just kind of want to learn a little bit about it, I'm going to cover pretty much the full gamut in this one, at least lightly. So let's do it. Intro. So the TWSBI Classic. What is this pen all about? Why should you care? Why should you watch this video? Well, chances are if you're seeing this video already, you've already heard about the TWSBI Classic from somewhere else. TWSBI's got a bunch of pens out there already. They introduced their pens to the world with the 530 a few years ago. Then they replaced that with the 540. Then they did the ROC 100, which is a limited edition. And then they did the Micarta, and then they did the VAC 700. Then they did the 580. I think I've got the order of all those right. Anyway, now they've got, then they came out with the Mini, and now they've got the Classic. That's kind of their next pen in line here. And it's a whole new model of pen, but it's not vastly different in terms of its overall form and function than, the Mini or the 580. It's not like as big of a change as the Micarta was or the VAC 700 was, but it's definitely a different pen. It's opaque, it's not clear, so it's definitely, well, I would call it more of a classic design than the clear versions of the 580 or the Mini. So it's kind of I've heard a lot of people that weren't so interested in the other TWSBI pens are kind of digging this one. So what are some of the key points of this pen? Well, it's a little bit thinner than some of their other ones. So if you thought previously or read previously that the other ones were too fat, this one, it kind of addresses that. So it's a lot thinner, and that's kind of nice. It is a piston filling pen. It's got an extra fine, medium, broad, and 1.1 nib. It's not available in a 1.5. It's like a lot of their other pens are. So it's a smaller nib. It's a number 5 size nib. What else is important about this pen? Well, it's got an ink window, so that's kind of cool. So you can see your ink. You can't see the full ink level, but you can see when it's getting low enough where you need to go ahead and hurry up and refill it because you're about to run out. The one thing that I'm not super crazy about this pen is it does not post. So the back of the cap does go on, but it doesn't stay on, so it'll just come right off. That's kind of a bummer. I at least like the option of posting. It's long enough where you definitely don't need to, but I've got no choice than to drop the cap out of my hand like I just did there. So, that's kind of a drawback of this pen. Now, technically, the 580 and the 540 and the 530 were not even intended to post anyway. They do, but they weren't designed to post, but neither was this one. So there you go. I don't know why it is that way particularly. A lot of people don't care. Some people do. I care, but I'm just one guy, so whatever. Neat pen. I really like it. It's $50, so it's in the same price range as the Mini and the 580. The ink capacity is about 1 milliliter, a little bit over, probably 1.1, 1.2, something like that. I didn't measure it exactly. I don't have super precise scientific equipment or anything, but that's what I was able to see. So it's a pretty good volume. It's slightly more ink than the TWSBI Mini is. Not quite as much as the 580, but probably about halfway in between the two. So it's a decent volume of ink though. It's going to be more than twice what you're going to get out of your average cartridge converter pen. Easily disassembles. The box that it comes in is kind of interesting. It's a different box. So it's a clear box. It does not come with any kind of outer packaging. It doesn't have that clear kind of Apple look to it that the 580 and the Mini does. But here it is. So it's kind of this clear plastic. It's got the TWSBI logo and stuff. TWSBI's really good about all their logoing and stuff like that. Really nice stuff. They've got some inserts here that show you some stuff about how to take the pen apart and whatnot. And then in classic TWSBI fashion, they've got a little cutout for the pen, but they've also got a silicone grease and a TWSBI wrench, which you can use to disassemble the pen, which is pretty sweet because being able to disassemble the pen like that definitely makes it a lot more user-friendly as far as cleaning, maintaining, stuff like that. And they're the only company that I can recall that includes both of those things in with their pen. So that is pretty awesome. But if you're already buying other TWSBI pens, you're going to be familiar with that. And you're probably going to have 6 or 7 TWSBI wrenches laying around like I do. But that's okay. You can never have too many of them. So that's kind of a rundown of the Classic. If you're curious about how it writes, it's going to write very similar to a TWSBI Mini. It's not going to be drastically different than the 580 either. It's got German nibs made by Jovo, so it's going to write pretty much like, you know, most European pens will. I've got full writing samples up in the nib nook, so you can always check those out and compare them to other pens. But that's pretty much what you're going to expect. It's a little bit smaller nib, so it's not going to be this big, huge thing, but seals up pretty nicely, writes well. It's got all kinds of O-rings and stuff all over the pen, so everything seals up nice, tight, good fit and finish on the pen. I really kind of digging it. So, you know, it's a decent pen. I would say that if you haven't been too crazy about the 580 or the Mini, you should definitely give the Classic a look, as long as the posting thing is not too big a deal for you. I think this is going to be a great pen for a lot of people, and I'm really glad to see TWSBI coming out with this. If you have any questions about the TWSBI Classic or about any other fountain pen, you can always ask me on Ink Nouveau or on YouTube here on this video, or you can hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. There's lots of ways to get a hold of me. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you spending time with me, and right on.